Real. This is the full scary story of 6 Community Service Program, KKN, students in the Dancer Village. Nur's version, full of mystery, makes goosebumps. This mystical story was experienced by 6 students who carried out the Community Service Program, KKN, in a remote village. The 6 students were named Ayu, Nur, Widya, Bhima, Anton, and Wahyu. The KKN story in Panari village is divided into 2 versions, namely the Nur and Widya versions. So, what is the full story of Nur's KKN in the Dancer village? Listen to the story. Nur is a girl who has aspirations to study at university, which she has dreamed of since she was little. Month after month he has gone through, until finally he arrived at the final semester, which required him to complete community service assignments, or KKN. Nur and his 6 friends had to find a place for KKN on their own because they did not have the opportunity to take part in the KKN that had been determined on campus. One night, Ayu, a friend of Nur's faculty, was just talking about his plans. He already has a suitable place to carry out their KKN activities, and Nur will participate in the observation of the KKN location introduction. Nur then prepared for his departure to the village that Ayu meant. On the sidelines, Nur remembered that he had to immediately tell his other colleagues. Because KKN is an activity that must be completed together. Wid, where? Asked Nur. I'm at home. Have you found a place for KKN? Asked Widya. Yes, I've found it. Tonight I will go with Ayu to the location to seek approval. Please pray for me. Replied Nur. Okay, I hope it's approved. Okay, thank you, said Nur, then turned off the phone. The days passed, and it was time for Nur to leave for the village where the community service program was located. Nur also saw a deer car that had stopped. Ayu, her best friend, came out, followed by a man behind her. Nur said to himself that maybe it'd Mr. Ilham, Ayu's older brother, who would take them to the KKN location. Let's go, Ayu asked, immediately holding Nur to get into her car. Then Mr. Ilham brought Nur's belongings to the car. Soon the car sped away. Is the location far away or not? Nur asked Ayu. The longest is 4 to 6 hours, depending on the speed of the vehicle. Ayu replied. What is clear is that the village is beautiful, I guarantee, still natural, and just suitable for the work program that we compiled yesterday. He replied. Ayu looks so enthusiastic about telling the village, while Nur feels uncomfortable. Actually, there are many things that make Nur feel uneasy. One of them is location, time, and so on. To be honest, this was the first time Nur had gone to the East. As a woman who was born in the West, she has heard a lot of gossip about the East, one of which is about its mysticism. Mystical situations are nothing new for Nur. In fact, he is used to various experiences with them. While pursuing her education as a female student, she often ignores the unusual feelings that arise by sheer coincidence. But strangely tonight, Nur had never felt as uncomfortable as that time. Sure enough, the uneasy feeling continued to grow as the car continued to move. One of the bad signs that happened was when, before entering town J, whose destination was city B, Nur saw grandparents asking for money at the crossroad. He looked at Nur with a concerned look. Not only that, the grandfather shook his head as if signaling Nur, who was in the car, to cancel his plans. However, Nur could not make any decision because there are other friends who are waiting for good news from today's observation. It suddenly rained, and without realizing it, more than 4 hours of travel had been taken. The car stops at a deserted rest area before continuing on its way. In the middle of a dark forest, Nur heard someone calling her name. Forest. This village is in the forest, said Mr. Ilham. Nur didn't comment, he just stood beside the car that had stopped at the edge of a forest road. This forest is already known to the people of East Java. Not long after, you can see the lights on and hear the sound of a motorcycle. Mr. Ilham, waving his hand. Then Mr. Ilham said, "That's a person from his village. You have to go to the village by motorcycle. The problem is that cars can't enter." Nur and Ayu then nodded, a sign that they both understood. Without thinking long, Nur and Ayu were already sitting on the back seat of the motorcycle, and they set off. The journey is now starting to enter the path. With the ground being uneven, Nur had to hold on tightly to the jacket of the person who had given her a lift. You can see the ground, it is still damp, plus the dew of dawn can also be seen here and there filling the thick trees. Suddenly, Nur saw a woman dancing on a rock, as if welcoming himself as a newcomer to the village. The dancer's eyes are sharp, and she has a charming and beautiful face. Then the dancing woman smiled as if she was welcoming the guest she had been waiting for. Nur then looked at another way, but now was shocked because the dancing woman had disappeared without a trace. He realized that he had been greeted by someone who didn't know what it was. After entering the village, Mr. Ilham then hugged a man who was maybe the same age as his father, who was at home. The man looks friendly and is smiling. The man then greeted them and introduced himself. "Introduce me. My name is Prabhu," he said. Then Mr. Ilham conveyed his intention of coming to ask for permission to hold a community service program or KKN activity in the village, which will be carried out by her sister, Ayu, and her 6 friends, including Nur. "I'm sorry, I know we have known each other for a long time, but this village has never been used for KKN activities before. We beg you, sir," said Mr. Ilham. At that time, Mr. Prabhu refused emphatically, so the atmosphere became tense. "I can't, Mr. Ilham," said Mr. Prabhu while pressing Mr. Ilham with an unexpected expression. "I ask for your help. We'll be well behaved here." "We won't be misbehaving here," said Ayu, helping her sister, her eyes filled with tears. Mr. Prabhu had never seen Ayu this serious before. Mr. Prabhu seemed to have softened from his previous firmness. Then Mr. Prabhu asked, "How many people will be KKN later?" Ayu enthusiastically answered, "6 people, sir." After the negotiation process was successful, with the approval of Mr. Prabhu and, of course, the surrounding community, they would officially carry out KKN activities in the village. They also already know what work programs will be their focus while in the village, one of which is a program to repair bathrooms with well water. After that, Mr. Prabhu invited them to go around to see the atmosphere of the village. While walking around the village, Nur was silent when he saw a stone covered by a red cloth. Beneath it, there were objects and food offerings, complete with the smell of incense. Nur saw on the rock a black figure with sharp eyes, burning red. Even though it was still daytime, Nur could clearly see her skin, which was covered in fur. In addition, he also has buffalo horns. The story is still long. The story will be continued in the second part. Wait for a few more days.